I don't think it's possible to write a memoir at 22. And I hope I'm still not able to at 33 or 44 or any age. But what if I could write a passage for every rite of passage in this long, long airstrip of life left ahead of me? When we'll patch scars, laugh and crash cars, when you stab me in the back of the backyard.
8 years ago today, on this exact day, I released a project that changed my life. It's called There's More to Life. So when I say there's more, you say to life. There's more. To life. There's more. To life. Okay, solid, but we could do it better. When I say there's more, you say to life. There's more. To life. There's more. To life. And when I say keep your friends, you say close. Keep your friends. Close. Keep your friends. Close. When I did my first ever solo show as a rapper, it sounded a lot like that call and response thing we just did. It was down the street from this stage I'm standing on, which is also in my hometown, and it was at a coffee shop that doesn't normally have live music. I kind of persuaded them into thinking it was a good idea. I brought in my own PA system and set of speakers, and I packed the place, wall to wall, packed to capacity. I invited special guests from other towns. Rhymes were flowing. Adrenaline was pumping. Everybody had their hands up in the air by the end of the night. I felt like a superstar. So the next morning, I emailed the cafe owner, and I'm like, hey, that went so well. We got to do that again, right? Can I perform again next month? And after a few hours, he writes back and says, hey, I talked to the staff. We're actually not fans of hip-hop music. I'm so sorry. We can't have you back. I was crushed. I thought I was going to be offered a residency or something. But I walked away from that first show of mine with a few great takeaways. A high from performing, experience planning an event, friends coming to respect the double life I live as an artist, and maybe most significantly, $60 cash in a plastic Ziploc baggie because I got $1 off every ticket sold and no cut of the drinks. That plastic baggie would go on to jumpstart my music career. That was my incubation fund, my getaway mason jar filled with spare change, and I would use it to burn mixtapes of my songs onto blank CDs, and my friends and I would hand them out at music festivals to people waiting in line to spread the word. That led to me playing slightly bigger coffee shops. That led to me performing at venues in the regional New York area, and then that led to me opening for bigger artists when they would come through the Northeast on tour. And before I knew it, I had a small but loyal fan following online who listened to the songs that I released, and I was flying around the country, rapping, giving talks like this one, and in a way kind of living out the reality of a dream I had wanted and chipped away at since I was a kid. But what I do is not for everybody, and it was never meant to be. It wasn't for everybody at that coffee shop, and it's not for everybody today. And there'd be a million anecdotes along the way of me learning that. I think that doing music or anything in the arts means sitting pretty often in the feeling of being lost. You do have a compass, only it's inside of you, not inside of some record executive's email inbox just waiting to be clicked on. I mean, look at me. When I was 19 years old, I thought I made it because I left a very traditional college experience for another college experience so I could pursue music, and I got discovered on YouTube through a friend of a friend who worked in A&R at a major record label in Los Angeles. So I get a call from this label in Los Angeles, and they're like, Dylan Owen, we love what you do. Your storytelling ability, off the charts. We just want to hear you do it on our beats. So that sounded easy enough to me. So they start sending me beats to write to. And these are beats by huge producers who worked with Eminem and Kanye West and Miley Cyrus. So I'm recording my songs to their beats, and the feedback I'm getting is not great. The beats are great, the songs are not, and the feedback's not great. And the reason why is because the label is prompting me throughout this whole experience to try to appeal to a hypothetical, commercial, mainstream audience that I don't think exists in reality. So this goes on, this back and forth, for about 12 months. And eventually, one song I make is just okay enough that they want to fly me out to meet with one of the biggest record executives in the world. So this is the biggest meeting of my life. I'm super nervous. I've curated my outfit, and I've got my best song ready to play. And the idea is if he likes this song, I'm going to get signed to a major recording contract. And that's kind of my lifelong dream. So I get there, walk into his office on the 5th floor of this fancy building in Los Angeles, and instantly I could tell something's off with the vibe. I'm way more excited for this interaction than he is. He seems to barely know who this kid is, stomping into his office with a ton of confidence. And when I sit down to play my song, he doesn't even have a nice set of speakers. Instead, he has these two little computer monitors that you would get at Radio Shack in 2003. So we're listening to my song on these two little monitors, and after about 60 seconds, he cuts me off and he says, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, I forgot. I have another meeting right now at a different office, so I gotta go." So I worked for about 12 years for this awkward 60-second meeting, and I feel a bit disillusioned to the music industry. So I fly back east to the only things I know: a microphone in my closet, a fan base on the other side of my laptop screen, and an understanding that what I do is not meant to be for everybody. I think growing up, I always knew music would be challenging, but what I least expected were the personal lows, like bills being hard to pay and working all kinds of odd jobs to make ends meet, like watching people's kids or doing graphic design or catering Sweet 16s, to headaches when you release a song that you really care about and not enough people hear it, or heartbreak when you fly across the country to perform in a new state for the first time and you're playing in a music venue and there are two people in the audience and one of them is your college roommate Ricky and the other one is Ricky's ex-girlfriend. But what's worth it every single time are the highs. That's the arm of a fan of mine named Joey who lives in Columbus, Ohio. Joey's been following my music for a long time online, and we've become friends over the years. And that's the first time I ever wrote out a tattoo in my handwriting by request so that somebody could get it on their body. Keep Your Friends Close is the name of an EP of mine and a song of mine that we did the call back and forth with in the beginning. And it means a whole lot to Joey. And that his connection to that lyric and that phrase, that's something I'm immensely grateful for, and I will take with me to the grave. It's not a scar with some ink in it. That's everything. To me, to Joey, to a select few. Or another high moment. A fan's family reached out to me, and his mom said, "Hey, my son passed away, and we're throwing a vigil for him with musical artists. We would love you to perform in his memory. He was a big fan of yours, and so are all of his friends, and it would mean a lot to our family." So I'm performing at this young man's vigil in his memory. I'm writing out tattoos for my fans, but I'm also flying across the country and playing in an empty room, and I'm also at this awkward record label meetup in Los Angeles going up to the 5th floor, and life is like that elevator. It's up and down and up and down again. But it's been reaffirming to think that the tools were in my hands all along to do this, to make my music and share it. So I come back home east from that record label experience, and I decide to give everything I have to my small group of supporters online who are listening to the songs I release, who are watching my music videos, who are showing up to my shows, requesting tattoos, and encouraging me every step of the way to keep going, keep going, keep going. So whether you're a creative person or not, I thought I'd make a list of 4 things that have guided me in my career and in my journey when I've been unsure of where to go next. So here's a list of those 4 things. Number 1, be scrappy. That's me in my bedroom with merchandise boxes stacked all the way up because for years and years, I mailed out every merch order myself. And when I say be scrappy, I think about the songs I've released that have really resonated with people. Almost 100% of them were recorded on a microphone in a 2-bedroom apartment like that or in somebody's mom's basement. It's not fancy equipment, and usually I'm editing these vocals myself on my laptop and sending them out to a producer to finish off. Shout out to Neighbor on the beat. And that's how this music gets made. The deeper I get in the music industry, the more I realize it's not about the tools you have, it's about how you use them. So number 1 is be scrappy. Number 2 is adapt. When the pandemic hit, the global touring industry was, of course, wiped out. $30 billion of revenue lost in the year 2020 alone. And normally when I go on tour, I do these things called Coffee with Dylan meetups. This is a photo of the first one ever in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I play a show at night in a city, and during the day, I say, hey, whether or not you have tickets to the show, anybody who wants to meet me and say what's up and meet other fans, I'll be at this coffee shop for a few hours. And through doing this, I've met some incredible people. So I couldn't do it during the pandemic, of course. So I took it virtual. I made a website called coffeewithdylan.com that redirects to a Google form, and you could go on there and sign up to get a virtual coffee. And on the first day that I shared this link, enough people signed up that I could have kept it going for 2 years. So number 1, be scrappy. Number 2, adapt. Number 3, learn from your mentors. A dear friend of mine and somebody who I'm proud to say is a mentor is a rapper named Chesky Ramos. He's incredibly talented. He plays guitar too, and he's been involved in hip-hop since the 90s, and he runs an indie hip-hop label called Fake 4. And I met Chesky through playing live shows, and in some years where I wasn't sure where to go next with my career, he invited me to open for him on his biggest tour to date and helped me put my music on a vinyl for the first time. He pressed it on a vinyl through his label. So Chesky's somebody who I didn't know growing up, but a lot of my indie hip-hop heroes are peers of his or friends of his or people he's collaborated with or helped them release their music through his label. So Chesky opened a lot of doors for me. I met some amazing friends through him, people in underground hip-hop and punk rock and vinyl auteurs in Europe. Shout out to Package Sounds. And yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without Chesky. So everybody should check out Chesky Ramos and his new band Co-Defendants, which is produced by Fat Mike of NoFX. So number 1, be scrappy. Number 2, adapt. Number 3, learn from your mentors. Number 4, work with your friends. I've always worked with my friends because I feel like it makes an honest expression when you make art with people that you're friends with. That's me and my producer Naybird in the studio, in our low-key recording studio. And I still work to this day with pretty much everybody from my hometown. Thomas Ford Flynn, for example, directed my latest music video, which is called Take Care of Yourself, and he's been working on my visuals since I was in high school. He used to DJ for me and design merch, and I like to think that the product we put out there is just as good as anybody in the big leagues. Growing up, I thought, oh, maybe there's something less legit about my friends than people that the music industry cosigns, but there's not. You can work with anybody, any day one friend or supporter to make your art and put it out there. So be scrappy, adapt, learn from your mentors, work with your friends. I run my music operation in a way that is for the fans. It's not for disgruntled cafe owners. It's not for record executives who don't have working speakers or good calendar management. It's not for anybody who thinks this is a shortcut to money and fame. It's for these people. So if I have one fan like Joey in Ohio, like Brody in Idaho, like Anders and Brittany in Wisconsin, like Anthony in Norway, then I have everything I could ever ask for. So if you do something creative or not, keep doing what you do with the ingredients you already have in front of you. It is possible for all of us to find an audience. It just might not be at the first show you play. So when I say there's more, you say to life, there's more. To life. There's more. To life. My name is Dylan. Thank you.